Hey there, if we haven't met yet, my name's Sarah and I'm the mom next door. Today I'm going to share with you some of my best tips for enjoying your trip to Disneyland to the fullest. We're going to talk about what to wear to Disneyland, what to eat, what to do, what to bring with you to the park, what they have available there, and I'm going to share with you some tips about souvenirs, including how to get some really cool free buttons. Let's start with what to wear. Typically, it's pretty hot when you go to Disneyland, so my go-to outfit is shorts and a t-shirt. My go-to outfit is shorts and a t-shirt. Make sure that your shorts are on the longer end. If you wear shorts, your thighs might rub and you could get what people refer to affectionately as the Disney rash. Wearing bike shorts or just some longer shorts will help prevent that. One of the most important things I want to point out to wear, and this is probably one of my best tips, is a cooling towel. So you can get these on Amazon. It's just a lightweight towel. It's actually like a little scarf. You can get it wet with any temperature water, hot, cold, warm, whatever. You wring it out, you kind of whip it or shake it, and it magically turns cold. So it is hot there, you're walking around a lot, you're waiting in line, you can wrap it around your neck, the kids put it around their heads. These were lifesavers. I can't tell you enough how much of a difference it made to have these. When we went to Disneyland our first day, I only brought one into the park with me because I wasn't sure that it would really be worth carrying around. And it made such a huge difference. We ended up buying more so that everyone could have their own. If nothing else, if you don't decide to grab one of these off Amazon and bring it with you, know that you can buy these in most gift stores within the park and you can get one while you're there. It'll make a huge difference. As far as what to wear, you might also want to consider wearing sunglasses and or a baseball hat because it is bright and sunny in Disneyland. The other thing related to what you're going to wear is comfortable shoes. For most people, some really good walking shoes or tennis shoes will be your best choice. I wore tennis shoes on the first day at Disneyland, but we went on Splash Mountain in the afternoon and my feet got wet. My socks got wet. By the end of the day, I felt like I was getting a blister because of the wet socks inside my wet shoes, and it was really uncomfortable. So the next day, I wore my Earth Runners. I wore these sandals, which fit on my feet really nicely. They have the strap around the back and the toe strap, so they're super comfortable. They stay on your feet easy. And I wore these for the remaining 4 days in Disneyland. We got anywhere from 30 to 35,000 steps a day, I think, and these were super comfortable. Another option is if you do want to wear tennis shoes and you're worried about your feet getting wet or blisters, you can wear tennis shoes, put some flip-flops in your backpack and throw the flip-flops on or sandals on for part of the day when you're going on those water rides, and then put your tennis shoes back on after. Quick tip for blisters. So regardless of what shoes you're wearing, if you're getting blisters or something's rubbing on your foot, there is something called moleskin. You can get it at a local drugstore. I did end up buying some for my foot after that first day. I put some moleskin on where that blister was starting and it made a huge difference. I couldn't have survived as comfortably without it. Let's talk about what to bring into the park with you when you go to Disneyland. There's a few different ways you can do this. I've gone before where it was just my daughter and I. She was about 8 years old and we didn't bring anything except my phone and my credit card. We found water in the park, food, whatever we needed, whenever we needed it. We just bought it as we went, and that was a really fun splurge day. It was just one day of that with my daughter and I. So if you have a really minimalist approach and you want to go hands-free, it is possible to find everything you need in the park. If you're bringing a fanny pack, so you only want to pack the minimal things you need in a fanny pack, here's what I would put in the fanny pack. 1, a portable charger for your phone. Everything is done through the app in Disneyland, so you're reserving rides with Genie Plus, you're looking at the map, you can order meals, you use your phone a lot, which drains your battery. I can't go very long without food, so I would probably throw a snack bar in there. I would also put a little electrolyte packet in my fanny pack so that I could add it to a water later in the day. I'm prone to motion sickness. I will make another video on motion sickness in Disneyland, but for motion sickness, I would throw a couple ginger chews and some gum in my fanny pack, and I would put in a small travel size sunblock, maybe just a little stick to get in my face throughout the day to make sure I'm not getting sunburned. Last thing is chapstick. I would throw chapstick in there and keep that chapstick on throughout the day. If you're bringing a backpack or a bigger bag or a diaper bag that you're putting in a stroller and you have more space, then you might want to consider bringing a water bottle for each person or a couple water bottles for everyone to share, and step up your snack game, putting some snack bars, trail mix, fruit snacks, whatever it is your family likes to snack on, so that you have plenty of food and fuel to sustain you throughout the day. Let's talk about food in Disneyland. There are so many fun things to eat in Disneyland. There's a ton of restaurants. Here's some things that are really helpful to know. Many of the restaurants in Disneyland allow you to do mobile ordering. As it's getting close to lunchtime, while you're waiting in a long line for a ride, you can open up your app, scroll through to the restaurant that you want to eat at, and order what everybody wants to eat. By the time you make it through the line and you go on the ride, you can go over to the restaurant and pick up your mobile order. There are some people that are really into all the foodie things in Disneyland. I haven't tried it all, but it's fun to go explore and see all the different fun things available. My go-to must-have foods every time I go to Disneyland, 1 is churros, 2 is the Dole Whip, and 3 is the frozen banana. We like to use the afternoon to get our sugary treats, so sometime between lunch and dinner we would get churros or Dole Whip or some kind of sugary treat. It would kind of power us all up for a couple more hours of fun, and then we tended to eat a later dinner past the dinner rush. If you want to go to one of the fancier, more fun, popular restaurants, I do suggest that way in advance when you're booking your tickets that you make some reservations for those restaurants, which you can also do through the Disneyland app. Speaking of food, if you are into coffee, there are a few places to get coffee in Disneyland. There is one cafe in each park that serves Starbucks. The Starbucks inside Disneyland and California Adventure typically have really long lines. So if you just want coffee and you're not so concerned about getting Starbucks coffee, the Holly Jolly in Disneyland has great coffee, lattes, mochas, all that stuff, and there's a few other places to get coffee too. If, however, you want Starbucks specifically, or you want a Starbucks souvenir, which is something that's important to me, in order to get the Disneyland or California Adventure Starbucks souvenirs, you do have to go into the Starbucks inside the park. There is a downtown Disney area that you can go explore. It's not inside the parks, but it's near them. There's a Starbucks there. They have some California stuff, but you cannot get Disneyland Starbucks souvenirs anywhere other than inside the Disneyland Starbucks. Speaking of souvenirs, here's some of my best tips. This really depends on how old your kids are. So if you have pretty young kids, I would suggest getting some Disneyland souvenirs online, through Amazon, through Target, ahead of time, putting them in your backpack or diaper bag, and then giving them to the kids inside Disneyland. So they're receiving the gift inside the park. They have that association between this Disney shirt or whatever it is you got them and receiving it in the park. So you can save money by buying it outside of the park, but you give them that memory of receiving it as a fun surprise gift inside the park. As your kids get older, they might really want the memory of picking out their souvenirs or shirts or whatever it is and purchasing it. We have a chore system. Our kids can earn money through chores. We tallied up all the money they were earning, and then we let them pick what souvenirs they wanted and how they wanted to spend their money inside Disneyland. It was really fun to see the kids pick out the souvenirs and how they wanted to spend their own money, and it was a nice way to help budget because they were spending their own money. They made different choices than they probably would have made if we were just buying all the souvenirs for them. There are some pretty cool big pins that you can get for free from most of the Disney stores. So as you're looking at souvenirs, if it's somebody's birthday, if it's someone's first trip, if it's an anniversary, a graduation, or any special event that you're celebrating, pop into one of the stores and ask them about the free pins because they'll give you one of those to wear. If it's your birthday, they'll tell you happy birthday all day long. If it's your first visit, they might do some fun things in the photos when you're getting photos taken. It's pretty cool. Let's talk about rides. I highly suggest that you get the Genie Plus Pass. I'm gonna make another video with a bunch of tips about Genie Plus. But here's what you need to know. You'll get way more rides in, you'll stand in way less lines, and you'll get to keep all of those photos that they take of you on rides and that the photographers take throughout the park. So get Disney Plus, it's super worth it. Along those lines, I encourage you to look for and take advantage of photographers throughout the park. In your app, you can actually look at a map of restaurants, at a map of rides, and you can look at a map of where photographers are at any moment. They take amazing photos. They're in all the best spots. They just scan your phone and then take the photo, and magically the photos show up on your phone shortly after. As far as shows and other entertainment in Disneyland, there's some really great shows. They have World of Color, which is on the California Adventure side. They have a parade, they have fireworks, and they have other shows as well. The Electric Parade is super fun. It's a beautiful show, and it does happen twice per night. So if you plan on staying at Disneyland later, when the first parade is happening, it's super crowded, it attracts a lot of people, and you might experience shorter wait times for the rides during that first parade. Then you can go watch the parade in the second later showing. There's less people, so it's less crowded to watch, and you got to take advantage of all that time when the wait times were low for rides because everyone else was in the parade. I'll also just give a quick plug for World of Color. We went to the later showing of that one, which was also less crowded than the earlier showing. The music, the special effects, it was just a beautiful way to end the day. One last thing I want to recommend is to set an intention for this trip. Talk about with your family, what kind of trip do we want to have? What kind of time do we want to have in Disneyland? We actually talked about that at breakfast the first day. What do we want this trip to be like? And we all agreed on fun, which sounds kind of silly, but it was really helpful. As we were making decisions throughout the day, we could come back to what would be the most fun for us. An example of how that played out throughout our trip is you get really into booking this ride at this time and that ride at that time and rushing between rides because you want to make the most out of your day. And it's easy to get into that mode of being rushed, which feels stressful. At one point, we realized we were walking really fast to get to the next ride, and our son, again, who's 8 and he's younger than the rest of the group we were with, was struggling to keep up. And we kind of paused and we're like, this isn't fun for him to be drug along and barely keeping up, half running. So we slowed down and we were like, you know what? We're not in a rush. We have all week here at Disneyland. So we slowed it down, and that was a more fun and relaxing pace. There were certainly moments where we still were kind of rushing, running to meet our time, but setting that intention of what kind of time you want to have in the park and referring back to that as your anchor throughout the trip can be really impactful.